Elliot Goldman arrived home an hour earlier than his wife, Hannah. He took a beer out of the refrigerator and sat down to rest. He noticed one of his wife's women's magazines on the coffee table. The main article on the cover was 10 Ways to Know Your Spouse is Cheating. Normally, Elliot would have ignored or even laughed at such a title. However, in the last month or so, he felt a change in power, his marital hitch. He read the article and immediately rebuked himself for trusting such lists. Yet the seed of doubt about his wife's behavior after 6 years of marriage was sown. A few days later, one of his co-workers came to see him after lunch. "Hey, Al, I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw your wife at lunch with a guy." "She works with several men. I guess it's not unusual for her to have lunch with one of them from time to time." "But do she and the guy usually hold hands, pet each other, and hug?" He pulled out his phone and showed Elliot. After watching the video for a couple of minutes, Elliot remarked, "They do look very cozy, don't they? Did you happen to hear what they were talking about?" "No, I was too far away. I know they were smiling and laughing and looking at each other lovingly." "Did you see where they went afterwards?" "No. By the time I paid the bill, they were gone." "Well, that's probably nothing, but I need to talk to Hannah. Send me the video." That night, Elliot got home just before Hannah. "Hey, big guy, how was your day?" Interesting. How about your day? Anything special?" "Same old, same old." "How long is your lunch break?" "Why do you want to know? Are you planning on surprising me and taking me to lunch one day?" "That would be great." "I just wanted to know how much time you have. It would mean what restaurant we could go to." "Officially, we only have half an hour, but we can stay longer if we let the secretary know." Have you had any of these long lunch breaks lately? Do these questions make sense? Okay, spit it out. Why are you really asking these questions? Elliot pulled out his phone and showed Hannah the video. Hannah replied, "So what?" "It looks like you're really friends with this person." Hannah laughed. "You mean because he's affectionate?" "You were both affectionate." "That's so sweet." "What are you talking about?" Elliot was starting to get angry. "It's so sweet. You're jealous. You're jealous of Spencer, the gay guy. We touch each other like I touch all my girlfriends. Believe me, there's nothing romantic about our touching. I guess I should be flattered that you're jealous. It means you value our marriage if you're upset about a possible rival." Hannah smiled broadly. "Al, remember, appearances can be deceiving. Well, I can't say he's gay. If you really want to know, talk to everyone I work with, or better yet, check out Spencer's Facebook page. He doesn't hide his gender preference. Facebook Elliot did check, and the guy's Facebook page said he was gay and in a relationship, a homosexual relationship. Elliot was ashamed that he had doubted Hannah. A few days later, Hannah called her husband to tell him that she had to work late and that he had to go and eat without her. That almost never happened. Hannah's job just didn't require extra time in the evenings. Elliot remembered the list. Unexpected delay at work was number 4 on the list of signs of cheating. Elliot walked into his favorite restaurant and ordered food. His plan was to bring his poor, overworked wife dinner, if that's what she was really up to. If he was wrong, he would simply join her for dinner. The guard knew Elliot and let him in. Elliot declined the guard's offer to inform his wife of his arrival. He wanted to surprise her. God, how he wanted to surprise her. As he approached her office, he heard 2 voices, one male and one female. Stepping quietly, he stood at her door and listened, hearing his wife say, "Oh, this is really good." Elliot, anticipating their upcoming date, quickly opened the door. Hannah and the man she was working with were standing over the architect's desk, looking at a large sketch of an organizational chart. They were both fully dressed and nothing seemed out of place. "Elliot, this is a surprise. What are you doing here?" "Aya, I just wanted to bring my loving wife dinner." "That's so sweet. You brought dinner for Jimmy too?" Trying to think quickly, Elliot answered, "There are 2 dinners." "So you've already eaten?" "Yes, I've already eaten. Well, I gotta get home. I'll see you at home. Sorry to barge in. Jimmy, I'd like to see my husband off. I'll be back in a second." They headed for the elevator. As soon as the door closed, Hannah got angry. "I'm sorry, but I don't believe in good husband. You've never done anything like this before? Walk into my office without even knocking? If this has anything to do with your stupid jealousy again, we could have a problem. We'll talk when I get home." Scolded properly, Elliot waited for Hannah to slap him. It all started before Hannah even took off her coat and hung it up. At first, I thought it was cute that you were jealous of me at lunch with Spencer. And now you're checking up on me because I had to work late? Jimmy asked me if you're always this suspicious. Elliot, this is getting more than annoying. If you think I'm making fun of you, I want to hear it now. She stood with her arms crossed over her chest and frowned. Well, the thing is, I love you very much, and I know that other men appreciate your beauty as much as I do. I've always considered myself so lucky to be married. I find it hard to believe that other men don't hit on you. I'm afraid you like it. What a load of crap. Well, other men hit on me, not a lot, but sometimes. But that's not the problem. The problem is that you think I'm actually capable of responding to advances. Are you really that insecure about our relationship? If so, I suggest you pull your head out of your ass immediately. Comprende? Yes, dear. I'm sorry. Please don't be mad at me. I love you so much. Well, you can't love me in bed tonight. You need to sleep in the guest bedroom tonight, although I hope you don't stay up all night figuring out what you need to do. Hannah headed to the bar and poured herself a drink. Elliot went to get the guest bedroom ready. It was chilly in the Goldman house that night. Elliot was glad that Hannah didn't seem so upset in the morning. Elliot, I'm really sorry I left you last night. I'm just disappointed in what you seem to think of me and my possible betrayal. Look, I take my marriage vows very seriously. I haven't been involved with anyone since we got married, and I don't intend to. You can't seem to understand that appearances can be deceptive. Furthermore, I have never doubted your commitment to our marriage. I suppose I can expect the same. I just don't understand why it isn't. After making that statement, she burst into tears. Elliot felt miserable. I'm sorry, honey. You helped me come to my senses. Please forgive me. I won't doubt you anymore. Hannah walked over and kissed Elliot. Let's put all this talk of spying and adultery behind us. Our marriage is too important to us to sabotage it by mistake. Remember, we will soon be adding little ones to our family. We can't raise children in an atmosphere where one of us doesn't trust the other. That's enough for today. I'll see you at dinner, and I won't be working late. She smiled slyly. Over the next few days, Elliot tried his best to do things he hoped Hannah would appreciate. Flowers, candy, chocolate, nuts, and caramel bars, and taking her out to dinner. The atmosphere at home softened considerably. One evening, Elliot was balancing his online account and his online credit card account. Everything seemed fine until he got to the account for the joint credit card with Hannah. 3 days at a local 2-star motel were charged. He realized that those 3 days were the days of his business trip. Damn, not again. Remembering the last disaster, Elliot didn't even want to think about asking her about it until he was sure it was what he was afraid of. He began to think about figuring it out before he made a fool of himself again, or worse, jeopardized his marriage. Elliot went to the hotel and asked the porter if he had been on duty those 3 days. He then asked if the hotel still had security footage from that period. It did. For $250, he saw the footage. Finally, after a quick rewind of the tape showed Hannah opening the door to a room. With her was a man dressed casually. They entered. This was a couple hours before Hannah left. Although Hannah never seemed to stay overnight, she did make several visits of varying lengths over the course of 3 days. The guy came and went several times alone, usually carrying food. Elliot got a copy of the recording. Elliot ran through every possible scenario that could suggest Hannah's visits to the motel were for a legitimate purpose. He couldn't envision anything but what he feared most. Was it time to meet Hannah again? Not if he wanted to keep his balls. Elliot needed more proof. He talked to his lawyer. By the time he left his office, he had a divorce petition in the works and a private detective under contract. The detective hid cameras and tape recorders in the house, and Elliot hid one in Hannah's car. For weeks, daily video searches and recordings yielded no unusual results until the digital recorder in the car recorded part of Hannah's candid conversation. Hey, Craig, can I talk to you for a second? I'm in the car on my way to work. Okay, me too. Are you ready to talk about our little adventure at the hotel? Yeah, it was one of the most exciting things I've ever done. So you don't have a problem with what we did? Not really, I just wish we weren't so secretive. You know we can't talk about it in the office. You never know who might overhear. Well, you could always tell your husband. Oh, yeah, sure, like he'd understand why I'd want to do that. Do you think we could ever do something like that again? I don't know. We'll have to pick the right time. I don't want to explain what we're doing. The possible consequences are too horrible. Okay, I'll wait. It's worth it. Okay, but next time you'll pay for the room. They both chuckled, and the conversation ended. Elliot was seething with anger. Let's see what the bitch had to say about this. Copies of the video and recording were sent to his attorney. The divorce petition was to be accompanied by a copy of the prenuptial agreement. The adultery she committed would leave her with what she brought to the marriage. Elliot would tell the lawyer when to pull the trigger. Hannah took off her coat and tossed her purse on the couch. Elliot sat at the kitchen table drinking a beer. His laptop was in front of him, but was turned toward the living room. An envelope lay next to the computer. On the other side stood a digital voice recorder. Judging by the shit-eating grin on your face, you've got something up your sleeve. You better not fall for any more adultery. It won't end so well this time. I admit you had me fooled, Hannah. I have proof this time. This should be good. Show me this so-called proof. Elliot scrolled through a video of the hotel room Hannah went in and out of, sometimes spending over an hour there. That's it? Before I say anything, what else do you have? Elliot scrolled through the tape of the conversation in the car. His confidence was waning, given Hannah's smug attitude. Hearing the recording of the call, Hannah smiled. This is going to cost you big time, asshole. First of all, the video. I agree that it shows me going in and out of a hotel room with a man. His name is David. What you don't see is that his sick wife is in the room. Don't you remember that my office helps support the Fairview homeless shelter? David and his wife used their time at the shelter just as they were starting to get back on their feet. The shelter agreed to pay for 1 week in a motel. They needed more time. Craig and I decided to help them, even though we weren't going to. I paid for 3 more days before they got into an apartment under the care of the mental health center staff. David's wife is ex-military, physically disabled and suffering from PTSD. I spent some time in the room talking to them about where they were moving to and the job prospects for David. I tried to support them and cheer them up. The reason Craig and I were secretive was that we could lose our volunteer positions because we went against agency policy. If the agency made exceptions to their rule on length of support, everyone else would expect it too. They don't have the budget for it. If our company found out that we had been ousted by an agency for which they are major contributors, it could have a negative impact on our work. I don't think they would fire us, but it could affect our future raises and promotions. The conversation with Craig is easy to understand now, knowing what the secret was. Scroll through the tape again. See if you hear anything in our conversation that specifically mentions sex or cheating on our spouses. You'll hear that you took our conversation about our secret act of kindness and turned it into something sinister. You just had to make some assumptions. But, can't we talk about this without yelling? No! You don't deserve any respect after what you did. You say you love me, but you don't trust me. I'm not sure I can stay married to a man who doesn't trust me. Are those divorce papers in front of you? Yeah, but I don't have to. Shut up! You can shove those papers up your ass! After your last attack of mistrust, I wondered what I would do if you didn't trust me again. I've come to the conclusion that just leaving you won't be enough. It wouldn't hurt you, because you obviously don't care much for me if you can believe I want another man. I realized something else. You're the one who's had a new wife in the last few years. You're the one. Hannah, I swear to God I've never touched another man. Oh, spare me the theatrics. I'm sick of your sanctimony. I wasn't talking about another human woman. I was talking about business. You're so consumed with growing the business and preparing to take over in a few years that the business has become your wife. I guess if you could fuck her, you wouldn't need me at all. Elliot was silent. That's what you'll do if you want us to stay married. Mind you, I don't care what you decide. I will, however, agree to stay married. Part of my reasoning will be that I will enjoy getting revenge on you every day until I am satisfied. The other reason I will stay married is that I would just as quickly be rid of all the confusion, hassle, and wasted money on lawyers that can come with a nasty divorce. And believe me, if I decide to get a divorce, it will be ugly. Honey, I'll do anything to save our marriage. Tell me what I can do. Please give me a chance. Damn you. You've made me lose my train of thought. Oh, yes, the divorce petition. Have your lawyer destroy that divorce petition and rewrite the prenup instead. The first thing is to get rid of the part about if either party can prove that the other has committed adultery, and then add the part about me getting 25% of your business and 60% of your assets, and alimony of $5,000 a month for 5 years, regardless of who initiates the divorce and regardless of the grounds. If that sounds harsh, well, hard crap. I have to do something that will scare you enough to stop these fraudulent accusations of cheating. I want you to think long and hard about what it will cost if you persist in not trusting me. And that's not all. If I ever hear, see, or even feel you checking out my cheating, I will castrate you. This signs of cheating crap stops right here, right now. What I said are the terms on which we can stay married. Call me when you decide. Hannah left the house and drove away. Elliot was desperate. Why can't I learn? I'm such a fool. I should have trusted her. What will happen to my trust in her? Maybe she's right about me focusing more on the business and not on her. I really don't want a divorce. Maybe I don't deserve her. At least I get to kiss her ass for as long as it takes. I guess I'm lucky she's giving me a second chance. He called his lawyer and told him to drop the divorce and renegotiate the prenup instead. His lawyer protested vigorously, but to no avail. The next day, Elliot got a call from a private investigator. You still want me to look after your wife? No, just send me the last bill. I can't right now. I have to see how long it takes me to remove all the cameras and recorders, but you could save money by taking them down and returning them to me yourself. That would help me since the catch the adulterer business is really booming right now. You know what they say? Blessed are the crooks, because they keep private investigators in business. He grinned. Of course I can do that. Elliot left work early in case Hannah came home. He took down all the cameras, which wasn't an easy task. Some were in high places, and he strained his back as he searched. When he reached for the recorder in the kitchen cabinet next to the house phone, he accidentally pushed it even deeper. Trying to reach out and reach for the tape recorder strained his back even more. He barely made it to the chiropractor in time. Fortunately, the chiropractor was able to provide assistance. He was given muscle relaxants and told not to strain his back for a month or so. Elliot had a new prenup ready to go. He was about to call Hannah to sign when the private investigator called. Hey, kid, I thought you already handed me the gear. I need it as soon as possible. Oh, crap. I hurt my back trying to get the last tape recorder. I forgot all about it on my trip to the chiropractor. I have everything in my basement except one tape recorder. I'll go home right now and bring it all to you this afternoon. After lunch, Elliot headed home. It was obvious that Hannah had made breakfast and hadn't cleaned up. Elliot reached for the last recorder. Not wanting to injure his back, Elliot pulled out a grabber. It took a few tries, but Elliot grasped the recorder and pulled it out. He noticed that there was a recording from the last time he checked. On the way to the office, Elliot decided to listen to the tape. It was Hannah and the man he mistook for Craig. It was a face-to-face conversation, not a phone call. They were together in the living room, he assumed. He heard Hannah offer, "Do you want to have a drink first?" "Yeah, we've got plenty of time, haven't we?" "Yes, well, my husband won't be home for a few more hours, but I have to be back at work by 2 o'clock. "Did he say anything about a prenup?" "He said it'll be ready any day now. I can't wait to file for divorce and be a single woman again, a rich single woman." "Hey, what about me? I thought we were getting married." "Don't you think your wife will be upset that we're getting married?" "It's okay. I'm just waiting for the right time. I don't want to be completely impoverished because of her." "But your sweetheart's about to get obscenely rich. Don't you think I won't take care of you?" "But you don't have any money yet, do you?" "Great, another man who doesn't believe in me," Hannah laughed. "I have to admit you handled that flawlessly. Magazine article on the coffee table. Gay lunch. God, I had to put up with that fruit for 3 lunches before that damn friend of Elliot's finally saw us. I was afraid I'd have to fuck Spencer on the table to get his attention. Then evening work with Jimmy. Good thing Elliot showed up on time. Jimmy was upset that he had to stay late at work for something that could obviously be done during the day in 15 minutes. "How did you know about the cameras and recorders?" "I just assumed that his lawyer would recommend it. I looked for a couple days before I found them in the house and one recording device in the car. I just checked. They're all off now." The best part is the motel charge and the fake phone call. I'm glad you gave me the script. I think I would have ruined it if I had to improvise. I had to choose my words carefully so they could be interpreted in two ways. It worked perfectly. Everything worked perfectly. You're so smart, it's scary. Well, there was one trap that didn't work. Did you forget about the marks on my panties? I was hoping he'd find them and accuse me of cheating. Then I'd make him take a test where he'd find out it was just mayonnaise. It would be fun to attack him for being jealous of mayonnaise. Do we really have to wait for real sex yet? I'm very horny. You know I wanted to be very careful not to have sex in case Elliot got lucky and discovered us. Still, I think we're safe now. There's no way Elliot will spy on me again. Even if he suspects something, he'll be too scared to do anything about it. That's the beauty of my plan. Since he won't be checking up on me, we can have sex without worrying too much. I'm more than ready for today. This is the first time we've had more than an hour. Just think, soon we can fuck all day and all night as much as we want. And we can do it in Hawaii, Rio, Bermuda, or the penthouse of the Hyatt Hotel. I'll still keep our current sex life with my wife on a slow burn to be safe. We are too close to explode right now. Tell me again, how long do you have to wait before you divorce her? It'll be a couple years before she turns 30 and inherits her grandfather's share of the business. He'll pay us a fortune, 7 to 8 figures, to get back the 25% of his business that I'll get in the divorce. He would never give up that much control. Don't worry, baby. We can have sex, but only when the time is right and Elliot can't catch us. 2 years? I don't know if I can take it that long. Honey, we've accomplished what we've accomplished by being smart and careful. Just hang in there a little longer. I promise I will rock your world as many times as you can stand it. Think about what we're doing today as an appetizer. By the way, you need to get more involved in your divorce, or I'll start looking for another guy. You better be kidding. I'm good. I'm gonna go see a lawyer soon and get started. I guess I really don't have to worry about what I'm getting out of my marriage as long as I'm with you. So, time for the bedroom? No, I don't want to mess with new sheets. Let's do it on the carpet. It'll look dirtier and more interesting, and easier to clean. I bet I could get undressed faster than you. I heard a rustle around me. The worst part was what she said. I can feel you so much better than my weak husband. Take me harder, baby. Fuck me harder. Elliot was almost catatonic. After regaining consciousness, he went back to his office. He called his detective and said he wanted to buy the remaining tape recorder. The rest of the gear would be returned. He called his attorney, who was happy to go back on the divorce decree and forget about the new prenup. Elliot told Hannah that there was a problem. His lawyer had quit because he thought a new prenup was not in Elliot's best interest. He promised her that he had a new lawyer who only cared about getting paid. The new prenup is due in about a week. In the meantime, Elliot took care of business. 10 days later, Elliot asked Hannah to meet him at his home. Hannah was shocked to see a replay of the last scene at the house. Elliot, a laptop, a tape recorder, and an envelope lay on the kitchen table. Once again, Elliot had a just-swallowed-the-canary expression on his face. This better not be a repeat of what happened last time. I'm going to get the sharpest knife we have. You should have said, "Show me the proof." Hannah had an uneasy feeling. She rummaged through her memory, trying to find some proof. She couldn't think of anything. Okay, Sherlock, what have you got? First, Elliot scrolled through the tape of her conversation with Craig. But all the recording devices had been confiscated. She started to panic. It's illegal to record private conversations. You can't use it in court. Elliot then turned on the video on his computer. It was Craig. Craig confessed to everything, saying it was Hannah's idea. He's lying. You must have bribed him or threatened to tell his wife. I'll crucify you in court. In court, video and recordings were allowed as this was not a criminal trial, and the crucified person was Hannah. The prenup was honored, and she left the marriage with what she went in with, just under $3,000. What's more, she owed her lawyer a huge debt, but the lawyer was out of luck. Hannah disappeared with the money and the car. On a day like today, we spent time writing love letters in the sand, how you laughed when I cried every time I saw the tide, washing our love letters away from the sand. Behind our house was a small cove, a secluded cove. Our footsteps were the only path leading to the cove, so it was practically ours alone. Katie and I would go there and watch the waves crash against the sand. One day, when the tide was out, Katie picked up a stick. "Wait here, John," she said to me and ran down the beach. I saw her writing something in the sand, then she called me over. When I got there, I saw that she had written, "John, I will love you forever. You are my whole world. I will always be your girl." There. That's my promise to love my John forever. She smiled beautifully. Only John. Forever. I hugged her and we made love on the sand. Of course, the next day, that eternal promise disappeared, washed away by the tide. But from then on, we started writing love letters to each other in the sand. She always addressed her letters to John. I asked her why, because who else could they be addressed to? Katie just smiled at me and shrugged. I laughed and hugged her. I showed her the imprint of her buttocks in the sand and told her I could recognize her imprint anywhere. I work as a troubleshooter at Milton Industries. Essentially, I work for the owner, Amos Milton. He uses me to check his deals and problem areas, trusting me to find hidden problems or assets that his official merger and acquisition team might have missed. Amos always said, "Nothing gets past John," and nothing does. When I was reviewing the documents for the Tempe trucking and distribution deal, something seemed off. I compared them to documents from our trucking companies and other companies I had access to, and I realized what was bothering me. Their payroll was too small. Their staff was not large enough for the volume of cargo they claimed to be transporting. Either they had discovered a new method of warehousing and delivery, or something was wrong in Denmark. On the other hand, their contracts with various companies contained rates that were 25% higher than those of their competitors. The acquisition team found this remarkable. I considered it another red flag. Why were several companies willing to pay such high prices? "Amos, I know your team highly recommends this deal, but give me a couple of weeks. I'll go there and see what makes this company different from the others. Give me a chance to figure it out." He agreed, and I left for 2 weeks, maybe even longer. Kathy didn't like it. She always hated it when I left, but my returns were always impressive. 2 or 3 weeks? You're leaving for at least 2 weeks? Katie hated being home alone. I promised her I'd be back as soon as possible. My first glance at the warehouse refuted the staffing information provided by Temple. I saw more employees in the warehouse than were listed. And that didn't include office staff, salespeople, accountants, managers, clerks, etc. I looked through the personnel files again, looking for a weak link. I found it in William Mortimer, the controller. He was 67 years old and about to retire. I found his reserved parking spot and followed him from the office to his home. I knew he was single and hoped he lived alone when I rang his doorbell. When the door opened, I announced, "Bill, I'm John Anthony from Milton Industries, and I want to know if you need additional funds for your retirement fund." He immediately understood why I was there and demanded $100,000. I offered $25,000, but eventually agreed to $50,000. He was greedy, but not too disappointed. I was right. The deal had been rigged. Several of Amos's enemies had joined forces, hoping to bring down the cunning industrialist. Most of the employees were paid through another organization and did not appear on the lists provided to Milton. The companies with which Temple had contracts were owned by his enemies through front companies. Finally, the employees had a union that was planning a strike the week Milton was supposed to take office. Unable to fulfill their supply commitments, the companies would have terminated their inflated contracts, leaving Milton with an empty warehouse and millions in investments. The striking employees would receive compensation and be hired by other companies. It was a clever trap, but not a very successful one. I suggested to Amos that we turn the situation around by finding replacement workers and forcing the companies with which the contracts were signed to pay them the huge penalties stipulated in the contracts. I heard Amos sigh into the phone. No, John. If you get involved with criminals, crooks, and liars, you'll only bring trouble on yourself. In any case, they'll never honor those contracts. It's not worth it. I'm not happy that you paid $50,000, but I think it was worth it to avoid trouble. He laughed. Besides, I'm sure it cost them more to set up this scam than that. Come home, John. I finished in a day and a half. A personal record for me. I headed home. When I got back, the house was empty, just 2 days after I left. I decided to surprise Katie and didn't call ahead. It wasn't unusual for her to be out all day. She was probably with a friend since her car was in the garage. I changed into my swim trunks and went to the beach to swim while I waited. I smiled when I saw the love letter my wife had written to me in the sand. She must have missed me. I give you my heart and soul. You lift me to new heights. To be honest, this unexpected declaration of love from my wife left me speechless. Then I noticed that the sand around my wife's note had been dug up. I recognized the footprints. Katie and I had done the same thing many times on this beach. The imprint of her buttocks was unmistakable, as were the other footprints in the sand. Apparently, some things do slip past me after all. I left the beach, got changed, gathered my luggage and financial documents, and left the house as I had found it. Katie and I didn't have a prenuptial agreement. When we got married, we had nothing, and we were deeply in love. Who signs a prenuptial agreement under those circumstances? You swore you'd always be faithful, but for some reason, that vow meant nothing to you. I settled into a motel on the coast near my home and went to the office. I picked up 3 specially modified DJI Matrix 350 RTK drones that I had been using to scout potential acquisitions for Milton and told Amos that I needed to take a few weeks off. Since there were no deals in the works, he gladly agreed. I packed the drones into the company camper pickup truck and drove away, leaving my car at the office. The pickup was equipped with a 220-volt generator that could fully charge a drone in 60 minutes. With a 55-minute flight time, I could provide good coverage with 2 drones, but 3 allowed me to comfortably recharge downed drones, overlapping coverage areas so there were no gaps in time. I parked at a public beach on the coast, less than a 10-minute flight from my cove. I decided to send the drone out for 35 minutes and then bring it back to have a 10-minute buffer in case of unforeseen circumstances. When it had been in the air for 25 minutes, I launched the second one, and 25 minutes later, the third. The cycle repeated as the drones recharged. The drones were equipped with high-quality cameras with SD cards, but I also recorded the video on my computer as it was transmitted. When the first drone rounded the cape, the beach was empty. I kept the drone near the trees towering over the cape so that it would be harder to see from my house. However, Katie was already home. I noticed her carrying a tray from the kitchen to the patio where the stranger was sitting. I watched them eat dinner and then go inside. The stranger hugged Katie around the waist as they entered the house, and his hand slid down to grab her buttocks. When the door closed, I directed the drone toward the front of the house, hoping to see the stranger's car. But there were no cars in the driveway. Did they take an Uber? Why didn't they take Katie's car? I took a chance and moved the drone to a window near the garage. Inside, I saw 2 cars, Katie's car and a Tesla. We didn't have a Tesla. I called the drone back, deciding that it was too late to get any good photos. I hurried back to the office and grabbed 2 surveillance cameras. My driveway was long, with trees on both sides. I parked behind the trees and walked between them until I could see my driveway. Then I carefully approached and found trees on both sides where I could set up surveillance cameras to monitor cars entering or leaving the property. Returning to the pickup, I checked the computers. The cameras were on and working. At that moment, I cursed myself for not investing in a home security system. Cameras would have come in handy right now. I decided to call it a night. Either I would catch his car when he left, or he would stay the night, at my wife's. At 9 p.m., Katie called me with the usual, "I miss you so much," she said every night when I was away. "Yeah, I miss you too," was all I could say. "Honey, you sound depressed. Are you okay?" my caring wife asked. "I'm fine. Just had a stressful day. I realize I can't trust anyone." I sighed. "No one." "Oh, I'm sure you'll work it out like you always do." She pretended to yawn. "Honey, it's been a long day and I'm tired." "Sure, I'm sure," I thought. "I'm going to bed. Good night. I love you." With that, she hung up and hurried back to bed with her lover. The next morning, I was at the public beach at 7 a.m. and had my drones up and running by 7:30. It wasn't until 9:30 that Katie and her friend ran naked down the stairs to the beach for a quick swim. While the guy was drying off, Katie wrote something in the sand. Later, I lowered the drone to get a closer look. "John, you've always been mine. Without you, I'm sad. I think it's time to make love." She was clearly no poet, and her attempt at poetry confused me. Now she's writing me love notes after a night with that jerk? I had seen enough, recorded enough. I didn't want or need to see any more. I called off the drones and turned off surveillance. I could barely breathe and had to wait for my vision to clear before I could get behind the wheel and drive back to the motel. I figured they must have gone out to dinner because the surveillance cameras recorded the Tesla pulling out of the driveway. Oregon plates, Coastal Playground. Coastal Playground. How fitting. Maybe that should be Katie's new nickname. I called the detective agency I had hired for Milton Industries and gave them the car's license plate number, GW44740. 30 minutes later, I received an email with information about the Tesla's owner, John Bristol, 27, salesman. He lived 80 miles away with his wife and 3 children. He had a family, a home, but he stole mine. I found Mr. Bristol's phone number and called. A pleasant woman answered. "Hello?" "Hello," I began. "I'm looking for John Bristol. We went to school together." I paused, hoping she would finish the sentence for me. "Oh, did you go to Beaverton High School? What year?" Mrs. Bristol asked kindly. I froze for a moment. "My wife also went to Beaverton High School and graduated in 2016, but she's only 26, born in April. I didn't know when Bristol was born. Maybe he was in her class?" I decided to take a chance. "He graduated in 2015. "Oh, a year older than John. John's out of town on a business trip." "Can I give him anything, sir?" she asked. Still thinking about how Katie was sleeping with her classmate, I told her the truth. "John Anderson." This time she didn't say anything. Then, almost hesitantly, she asked, "John from school married Anderson." I got rid of her. "That's a common name. I have several cousins who still live in Beaverton, but I'm not married." I cursed myself for not using a pseudonym. Then I thought, at least I'm honest. After all, at that moment, I felt like I no longer had a wife. I really wasn't married. "Please tell John I called. He can reach me at this number." I repeated the number in case she hadn't written it down. "Thanks for your help, Mrs. Bristol. I hope we can talk again." I wasn't surprised when Katie called early that evening. I figured Bristol had talked to his wife and she had passed on my request. I didn't answer the call and listened to it later. "John." There was a pause. "John, did you call John Bristol's house today?" I went to school with John Bristol, and he called here thinking it was me." I wondered how she would explain where she had gotten his number after almost 10 years. "He thought I was calling about a class reunion or something." Kathy sounded depressed. There was a long pause. "John, please call me back." I didn't call. I turned off my phone and didn't check my voicemail until the next morning when I turned it back on. There were 4 messages. Before I could decide whether to listen to them, the phone rang again. Out of habit, I answered, "John, it's Katie." "You didn't call me back," my wife said quietly. "I didn't want to bother you," I replied. Katie was silent. I thought she had hung up, but she spoke again. "What do you mean?" "Well, I know you brought your lover to my beach, to my bed." I clenched my teeth to keep from screaming. Katie was gasping and sobbing. "No, John, no!" We were silent on the phone for several minutes. "Are you coming home?" my wife asked. "I'll come home," I replied. "I'll come home when you and your lover leave my house. Why don't you go back to Beaverton with him? I'm sure his wife will be thrilled." Katie was now crying loudly. "This is our house, John, our home." "No, the lease is in my name. My parents bought it for me before our wedding." It was our home, but now it was only my home. "It was a wedding gift, John, to both of us," Katie argued. "The house was in my name before the wedding, only in my name. The fact that my parents did that speaks to their intentions. If it had been a gift to both of us, it would have been stated in the document," I replied. "And I want you to leave now." "But, John, there was nothing." "Nothing." Katie interrupted me. "I have photos, videos of you on the beach, naked, on the beach, together." It was hard for me to finish the sentence, remembering that scene. Katie fell silent. Finally, I continued, "I want you to leave. Just leave me an address where I can send the divorce papers." I heard her sob again. "But John, I love you. Can't you just forgive me?" It sounded more like a moan. "I have one question for you, Katie. When you wrote in the sand, was any of it addressed to me?" I asked. Katie howled, then sobbed again and cried. "I guess that's your answer. Why would you want me to come home? To pay the bills?" I asked. "John, I love you," she sobbed. "I need him. You don't understand, please. I love you, but I need him." Now I have to ask, why? Did I really want to know? It's always been this way, ever since school. We don't get along. We don't love each other. He's always had girlfriends." She laughed. "He even has a wife he loves, although she's not very affectionate. But sexually, we're perfect for each other. But there's no love, John. I only love you." I was silent for a minute. Then I asked, "Do you remember the first love letter you wrote on the beach?" "I remember." I cleared my throat. I wasn't sure of my voice, but I began. "John, I love you unconditionally. You're my whole world. I'll always be your girlfriend. And we've already figured out that none of your letters were about me." I hung up. I didn't need this. The next day, I called Mrs. Bristol and introduced myself. I asked if she would like me to send her a copy of the video. "Why?" she asked. "Well, he's cheating on you. Don't you want proof?" I asked, surprised. "I know he's cheating on me," I heard her snort. "I have 3 children I never wanted. He'll have to cheat if he ever wants to have sex again. Your wife can have him if he pays the bills." Katie didn't describe how unfriendly the woman was. In the end, everyone, almost, got what they wanted. Mrs. Bristol never had to have sex with anyone again. Less than a year later, she also got help raising the kids from my ex-wife, who now had a child of her own. John was able to have sex and have more children. Katie got the guy of her dreams and child support from me for at least the next 5 years. As I said, almost everyone. I kept the house, which was already mine, and have to pay alimony to my ex-wife. Since her lover is already married, the chances of the alimony ending early are slim. Meanwhile, she continues to call me even after the divorce was finalized, insisting that she loves me. When she mentioned her student loans, it disproved her claims of love. But it made me smile. There was a silver lining. I just got rid of over $150,000 in student loans that I had been paying off, which Katie took out to pay for her useless education in Renaissance poetry. Now she'll either have to find a new John to pay her bills, or see what kind of job she can find with that degree. Now my broken heart aches, with every wave that breaks, over love letters in the sand. I don't go to the beach as often as I used to, but without Katie's student loans, I have enough money to go on cruises for singles.